Alex Eala. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I told her that. I was like, dude, I'm so excited for this doubles because I'm about to have like the most support I've ever had.
What if I told you that one unknown 22-year-old girl walked into Paris and destroyed everything the tennis world thought was guaranteed? Not with luck, not with miracles, but with pure composure, fearless precision, and a mindset so cold it shook an entire stadium into silence. Because what happened at the French Open that day wasn't just an upset. It was the birth of a new superstar. But first, if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel for latest Tanny's update and watch this video at the end for much information. Now let's begin this story.
Fans too, and I feel a little bit adopted when I play doubles with her.
She's much more experienced than I am. I don't think it was an easy win for her, so it's very difficult.
Nobody inside that stadium was prepared for what was about to unfold. Not the commentators. Not the thousands of fans who had traveled across the world to witness a routine victory from the tournament favorite. Not even the cameras capturing every angle of court Philippe Chatrier. And definitely not JOVIC herself. She stepped onto the clay with the confidence of someone who believed the result had already been decided before the first serve was hit. Her body language screamed certainty, calm, control, experience. But history never announces itself before it arrives. Sometimes it walks quietly onto a tennis court and changes everything forever. Across the net stood a young woman almost nobody expected to matter. Alex Eala, 22 years old, from the Philippines. Silent, focused, unshaken. While JOVIC bounced with aggressive energy, Alex stood completely still, almost disconnected from the chaos around her. It was the kind of stillness that felt strange, dangerous even. And hidden inside that silence was something nobody recognized yet. Belief. The French Open clay has broken legends before. It has swallowed champions whole and exposed players who arrived carrying the weight of expectations. But on this afternoon in Paris, the clay was about to remember a new name. Most fans barely knew Alex Eala's story before the match began. She wasn't the headline. She wasn't the favorite. She wasn't the player analysts spent days discussing. To the tennis world, she was simply another opponent standing between JOVIC and the later rounds. And that underestimation would become the biggest mistake of the day. The opening games started exactly how everyone expected. JOVIC looked sharp, powerful, dominant. Her first service game moved quickly, each shot landing with authority as the crowd applauded comfortably. Everything felt normal, predictable. Then Alex stepped up to serve. The first serve exploded off her racket like a warning shot. Not just powerful, intentional. The placement was perfect, the confidence behind it unmistakable. JOVIC returned it late, slightly surprised by the pace. It was only 1 point. But sometimes, entire matches begin changing with a single moment. From there, the rhythm shifted. Every time JOVIC attacked, Alex responded with something even more precise. She wasn't simply defending. She was redirecting pressure, turning JOVIC's aggression against her with angles that looked almost impossible. The commentators slowly changed their tone. The comfortable analysis disappeared. In its place came uncertainty, curiosity. Because something unusual was building on that court. By the fourth game, even the crowd could feel it. People leaned forward in their seats without realizing it. Phones lowered. Conversations stopped. This wasn't becoming a routine match anymore. This was becoming a problem for the favorite. And for the first time all afternoon, JOVIC looked across the net with an expression nobody expected to see. Doubt. Not panic. Not fear. Just the smallest crack in certainty. And Alex noticed it immediately. Most young players in that situation rush. They feel the pressure of the stage and start forcing moments. But Alex did the opposite. She slowed everything down. Between points, she walked calmly, deliberately. Every movement looked controlled, measured, like she belonged there. That composure became terrifying. Because while the crowd was getting louder, Alex somehow looked quieter. The first set ended with the scoreboard showing something the stadium struggled to process. Alex Eala had taken the set, and she hadn't stolen it. She earned it. The noise inside the arena exploded, but underneath the cheers was disbelief. Fans were suddenly realizing they might be witnessing something historic. During the break between sets, the real battle began inside both players' minds. Havik walked to her chair trying to maintain confidence, but something about her body language had changed. The certainty now looked forced. Manufactured. Alex, meanwhile, looked exactly the same as before. Calm, focused, untouched by the magnitude of the moment. That was what made her so dangerous. The second set opened with Havik playing aggressively. She attacked every rally like someone desperate to regain control of the narrative. And for a few games, it worked. Her shots landed cleaner. The crowd sensed momentum shifting back toward the favorite. But Alex adapted instantly. She had already studied Havik's patterns. She knew when impatience appeared. She knew where the big forehand wanted to go, and she began using that knowledge like a weapon. Slowly, errors started creeping into Havik's game. A forehand clipped the net. A backhand drifted long. A second serve missed wide. Individually, the mistakes looked small. But together, they revealed something much bigger. Havik was beginning to doubt herself. Then came the rally that changed everything. Midway through the second set, both players entered a brutal exchange that seemed impossible to sustain. The ball flew back and forth with incredible pace as the crowd held its breath. Havik finally attacked with a crushing shot aimed perfectly at the corner. The point should have been over. But Alex sprinted, stretched desperately, and somehow produced a winner down the line from an impossible position. The stadium erupted. Not cheered. Erupted. And Havik stood frozen at the baseline, staring at the spot where the ball landed. That stare lasted only seconds. But inside those seconds, everyone watching understood the truth. The underdog wasn't here to compete. She was here to win. The second set slipped away the same way as the first. Now the impossible no longer felt distant. It felt real. As the third set began, the energy inside the French Open had completely transformed. Nobody was casually watching anymore. Every person inside that stadium understood they were witnessing one of those rare sporting moments that people remember for decades. But there was still one question left. Could Alex finish it? Because this is where most miracle stories collapse. This is where pressure crushes inexperienced players, where history suddenly becomes too heavy to carry. But Alex Eala carried pressure differently. She used it like fuel. Every point in the final set felt massive. The crowd reacted to everything now, defensive shots. Serves, long rallies, because they desperately wanted this story to become real. To her credit, Havik refused to disappear. She fought hard. She produced moments of brilliance that reminded everyone why she was the favorite in the first place. But brilliance in moments could not defeat someone performing with complete mental clarity. Every time Havik threatened a comeback, Alex answered immediately. A perfect serve. A fearless forehand. An impossible angle. She wasn't surviving the moment anymore. She was controlling it. Then came the final game. One service game separated Alex Eala from the biggest victory of her career. The stadium felt frozen. Fans stood without realizing it. Strangers grabbed each other's arms nervously. Even the commentators abandoned professional analysis because nobody wanted to miss what was happening. Alex bounced the ball calmly at the baseline. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then she served. The return floated back weakly. Alex stepped forward and crushed a forehand winner down the line. The crowd exploded. 1 point away. The next rally stretched endlessly, each shot increasing the tension inside the arena. But once again, Alex finished it with fearless precision. Match point. And suddenly, the entire stadium went silent. The kind of silence that only exists before history happens. Alex served one final time. The return came back high. She stepped into the shot without hesitation and fired a missile down the line that landed perfectly inside the corner. Game, set, match. For a split second, nobody moved. Then Paris detonated. The roar inside the stadium sounded less like cheering and more like pure disbelief bursting into the air all at once. Alex dropped her racket and collapsed to her knees on the clay. And for the first time all day, the composure finally broke. Not from fear, not from pressure, but from emotion. As 70,000 voices poured down around her, tears filled her eyes. The calm expression she carried all match disappeared completely, replaced by the overwhelming realization of what she had just accomplished. Then came the moment nobody watching would ever forget. Alex looked upward toward the Paris sky. Not at the cameras. Not at the crowd. Not even at the scoreboard confirming her victory. Just upward. Whatever words she whispered in that moment belonged only to her. But somehow, everyone understood the meaning anyway. Because sports at their greatest don't need translation. And what Alex Eala said that afternoon on the clay of Paris echoed far beyond tennis. Within minutes, the conversation exploded across the world. Every sports channel, every social media feed, every group chat. People weren't asking whether this was one of the biggest upsets in French Open history. It clearly was. The real question became something far more exciting. What happens next? Because in sports, there are two kinds of breakthrough performances. The first kind is magical but temporary, one unforgettable day that never repeats itself. The second kind is different. It feels like the beginning of something much larger. And everything about Alex Eala's performance in Paris suggested exactly that. The composure wasn't luck. The tactics weren't accidental. The mental strength wasn't temporary. What the world witnessed that day was not a random upset. It was an arrival. A new star announcing herself on one of the biggest stages in sports. And whether the tennis world is ready or not, Alex Eala is no longer part of someone else's story. She came to Paris to write her own.